Greetings, everyone. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. And, even though it's still September, let me introduce you to a new Halloween marathon that I like to call Nightmare Month. Now, to start off this spooky time of year, let's do my second to last edition of the Year of Dogs this year. And what better way to start Nightmare Month than with a dog that most cartoon fans love? So, which dog is it, you may ask? Well, sadly, it's not Courage the Cowardly Dog. Nope. Tonight, I'm going to talk about Scooby-Doo again, which is awesome. Yeah, believe it or not, I really love this dumb dog, no matter how old the show is. And like I said, while blogging Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost 3 years ago, this movie is one of my favorites from my childhood. Anyway, for today's blog, we're going to look into one of the first 3 Scooby-Doo movies I've ever watched, and see if it truly holds up these days. Released to television on January 16th, 1988, the special is Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School. Now let's get creepin'. In this special, Shaggy, along with Scooby-Doo and his nephew Scrappy, take jobs as gym teachers at a highly suspicious girls' finishing school. Locked in the building in the dead of night, the dauntless trio find themselves in a classroom full of monsters and ghosts. But after the girls are kidnapped by Revolta, the evil witch of the web, it's up to Scooby and the gang to save them. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? Well, in my opinion, this was a great movie from my childhood. Although, I didn't really own this movie when I first saw it. You see, like most movies I blogged in the past, I was introduced to this movie while watching it on the Disney Channel during the Halloween season of the mid-90s. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, as I said 3 years ago, when I blogged Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, this special was the 3rd Scooby-Doo movie I ever watched. The first 2 being Scooby-Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf and Scooby-Doo Meets the Boo Brothers. The movie was produced for syndication as part of the Hanna-Barbera Superstars 10 series. Now, in my eyes, since this special is one of several Scooby-Doo movies that does not include Fred, Velma, or Daphne, it does feel pretty different, despite the fact that I was introduced to them a few years later. But still, the special does share the same charm that the Scooby-Doo show has had since 1969. Except, the villain in this special is not some nut job in a Halloween costume. As for the animation, well, in my opinion, the animation in this movie is classic Hanna-Barbera animation. Also, while it can be limited at times, it's still very good, and I think it's very creepy and humorous at times. Some of my favorite parts in this movie include the volleyball game between the Grimwood girls and the Callaway cadets, and the Halloween open house scene. However, the part that feels almost exactly like the original cartoon is when Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy are wandering around Revolta's castle while trying to rescue the girls. Also, in my opinion, the creepiest part of the movie takes place at Baron Bog, where Revolta has set a trap for the girls. And now, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought them to life. Let's start with Shaggy Rogers, voiced by the late radio DJ Casey Kasem, whom I talked about in my blog of Here Comes Peter Cottontail. Now, in my opinion, while Shaggy can be jumpy at times throughout the series, I think he does a great job being the Grimwood's gym teacher, and I think when it comes to rescuing the Grimwood girls, Shagster makes a pretty good hero, despite getting into an encounter with a mirror monster and getting manipulated by Revolta's spider bats. Next we have our star character, Scooby-Doo, and his nephew, Scrappy-Doo, both voiced by Don Messick, who got to be in Journey Back to Oz, Charlotte's Web from 1973, Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July, The Last Unicorn, Jetsons the Movie, Tiny Toon Adventures, and of course, Tom and Jerry the Movie. Now, to me, Scooby is easily as scared as Shaggy, but, on the other hand, Scoob can be very funny at times, and I think he has the loyalty and courage to take a more heroic stance. As for Scrappy, well, say what you will about him, because I never really found him annoying in the least, even though he does become a bad puppy in the 2002 live-action movie. Anyway, in this special, Scrappy is highly energetic, and he's very brave, despite his small size. Plus, Scrappy usually insists on trying to directly fight the various monsters that his friends encounter on their adventures. Plus, Scrappy was a great referee during the volleyball game, and his rap song at the end of the movie is very catchy, and trust me, it's way better than nowadays rap. Next we have Miss Grimwood, the middle-aged headmistress of the school, voiced by Glennis Johns, whom I remember as Winifred Banks from Mary Poppins. Miss Grimwood is sweet and friendly to every visitor that she has, although she is quite assertive when she has to be. She loves to cook things like poison ivy punch, swamp brownies, toadstool tea, fungus fudge, and scorpion stew, and she has a preference for the macabre. Also, she has an octopus butler and a floating hand at her service. Next we have Miss Grimwood's pet dragon, Matches, whose vocals are provided by the legendary Frank Welker. He serves as Miss Grimwood's guard dog. Matches often has duties like heating food in the kitchen or warming up items with his fire breath, in which his body will turn a dark red color. However, he's not able to breathe fire when his body is wet. Also, Matches often shows a bad temper. At first, he shows a strong dislike towards Scooby-Doo, but he later warms up to him after the dog saves him from the Grim Creeper. Also, Matches helps Shaggy and the gang rescue the girls from Revolta. Next is the first of the Grimwood students, Sibella Dracula, voiced by Susan Blue, who got to be in Friday the 13th Part 7, Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, and of course, My Little Pony Generation 1. Now, Sabella can turn into a bat at will. She uses her bat form for different reasons, such as rescuing or looking for people, or for simple things such as delivering pizza. Also, unlike traditional vampires like her father, she is immune to sunlight, and she can go out during the daytime. She is also shown to be the most strong-willed of the 5 Grimwood girls. Also, she's my favorite out of them. Plus, like most vampires, I think Sabella is way more tolerable than the vampires from this piece of garbage. Also, Sabella uses phrases with vampire-related puns, such as "fantastic" and "you bat." Plus, she is very talented at making bat robes and dragon fireproof robes, as seen when she gives her father and matches each one. Next we come to Winnie the Werewolf, voiced by Marilyn Scheffler, who's done voice work for several other Hanna-Barbera films. Now, judging by her name, I wonder if this Winnie was the inspiration behind Winnie from the Hotel Transylvania trilogy. Anyway, in this film, Winnie howls before making a statement, and unlike common stereotypical werewolves, she does not turn back into a human during daylight hours. Winnie makes a juicer as her father's Halloween gift, which makes better lemonade, which is something that her father enjoys. Out of the rest of the girls, she is the most talkative, and she can also be very loud and somewhat competitive. Next we have Elsa Frankenteen, voiced by Mae Whitman's mother, Pat Musick, whom I remember as Tony Taponi from An American Tail. Now, Elsa can endure electrical shocks, and her black hair is standing up above her head, thus resembling the Bride of Frankenstein. Pretty clever. Anyway, Elsa presents her father with a portable Shockman, which has a rechargeable battery pack which lasts for weeks. I think Star-Lord's gonna be jealous. Also, Elsa is the tallest and the strongest of the girls, and she has a deep voice, which makes her sound more masculine than the others. Next is Phantasma, voiced by current Minnie Mouse, Rusty Taylor. Everyone calls her Fanty for short. Now, being intangible, Fanty can float through walls and doors. Plus, she has a good sense of humor, and she's very musically gifted. She displays a great love and appreciation for music. Speaking of which, Fanty's gift to her father is her latest composition called Duet for 3 Hands and 6 Tentacles. Next we have the youngest of the Grimwood students, Tanis, voiced by Patty Maloney, who got to be in the infamous Star Wars holiday special. Tanis usually gets tangled in her bandages, and the others have to help untangle and rewrap her. Now, she has an Egyptian trophy case to store her trophies, but she often gets worried when it looks like they are going to lose a game. Tanis gave her father a fright light to brighten the darkest mummy case for a present. Plus, Tanis is a shy sweetheart, and she's the most nervous out of the group. Even Scooby-Doo warms up to her immediately, mostly because of her innocence. She often sucks on her thumb to show her said innocence. Next we come to Colonel Calloway, voiced by Ronnie Shell. Calloway is fair, yet very stern, but he does make a very serious military officer. Plus, I think he seems to have a bit of, reciprocated attraction to Miss Grimwood. Next we have the Calloway Cadets. Tug, the leader, voiced by Scott Menville. The inventor, Miguel, voiced by Aaron Lohr. Jamal, the tallest and most skilled of the cadets, voiced by Bumper Robinson. Grunt, the largest member of the cadets, voiced by Jeff B. Cohen. And Baxter, the smallest member of the group, voiced by Remy Abojoyous. To me, while they are rivals of the Grimwood girls, and they're not easily freaked out that they're monsters, these boys can be very crafty, and I think they were great to help rescue Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, and the girls from Revolta's castle. Plus, like most military officials, they often use the terms affirmative or negative when agreeing or disagreeing with particular happenings. Though, in my opinion, those words can be a little repetitive. Next up, we come to our main villain, Revolta, the Witch of the Web, voiced by Ruta Lee. Revolta plans to make the students at the Ghoul School part of her evil squad permanently. Her main magic is mind control via spider bats that put web-like hypnosis headphones on their victims, and Revolta issues commands through that headphone which hypnotizes the victims. She's also a good potions maker, and she can brew up potions that can make everybody evil permanently. Finally, we have Revolta's assistant, the Grim Creeper, voiced by Andre Stoja, whom, after this movie, got to voice Owl in several Winnie the Pooh films from 1997 to 2007. And he voiced the King in the Cinderella sequels. This creature looks like a green, overgrown pumpkin with long vines for limbs and one big eye in the middle of his head. He unsuccessfully tried to get the wand from Revolta when matches came near him. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Scooby-Doo and the Ghoul School is a classic movie to watch during the Halloween season. And I'm glad that this is one of the first 3 Scooby-Doo movies that I ever watched. The animation by Hanna-Barbera, while limited, is funny and classic. The main characters, Shaggy and Scooby, are very silly, and they do make great heroes. And Scrappy can be very energetic and gutsy at times. Matches was a decent sidekick character. The Grimwood girls are all amazing and interesting, and the Calloway cadets are very crafty. Lastly, the villain Revolta is a very sinister and devilish character. So, if you guys have not seen this movie yet, be sure to check this movie out. And I think you and your children will have a lot of fun watching this. I give this movie a 79% out of 100. Well, that's it for tonight, gang. Be sure to tune in next time, where I blog a classic witch movie from the 90s that just turned 25 years old this year. Mustang Power.